All right, guys, there's a lot happening in this crypto space, and I think you should be actually paying attention because there's going to be a lot of gains to be made in regards to a lot of the projects that are coming out. So you don't actually want to miss this information. We're going to be talking about the strategy 23 that basically fired off in terms of meeting the conditions to actually take the trade. We're going to talk about the shorter term time frames. We're going to look at Ethereum. We're going to look at Xenify, a cool new project that basically is in the Zen ecosystem. And we're going to talk about Babb, what basically has been happening in terms of some of the advisors that have been joining Babb to help them move on with the regulatory framework that they are putting in place for the whole crypto space overall. So let's go ahead and not waste more time into this, guys. If you enjoy this content, me coming out with strategies and showing you crypto projects that are going to do well, give this video a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm push it out to as many people as possible so they can actually see this content as well too. And I do have a trading course below, so if you're brand new here and you're looking to learn how to trade, you can go in the description below, sign up for it on Udemy. And as well too, I have a Bybit link which you can basically sign up and start trading. Now keep in mind, guys, I always urge that you apply caution, apply risk management when you get into trading, and have a strategy, guys. And I show you some of these strategies so you can actually apply and learn how to develop your own craft when it comes to trading, guys. But the key number one thing is always preserving your capital, and understand this is a long-term career path you're essentially going to be taking, and you don't want to blow up your account. If you're interested, the link is in the description, guys. But let's go ahead and get started into it. So we see strategy 23 essentially firing off on the 12-hourly time frame. So we're just going to move on to that time frame here. And that trade basically started firing off on December the 7th. And if we actually bring in the statistical data just to actually particularly show you here, so there is an upside target of 3% in terms of this, which takes about 60 hours for actual completion. Now keep in mind, this is just the average, guys. And there is a downside target of 7.43%. Now this is leaning on the short side position. In the data set, as you can see here, I've taken the last 20 iterations, guys. And with that being said, you have about 57% of winning the trade on the shorter side position of it. Now the great thing about this is you're actually doubling your position profits when you take the downside the downside of this trade. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Again, you do want to apply some other strategies to basically help with this particular trade, because this could be seen as a neutral direction trade because it's 57%, right? It could go either way. So you want to have some sort of a bias helping you when you take this particular strategy. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So we can see here it's about 3% to the upside, and we're talking about in the last video looking for Bitcoin to basically test the upper side of this, and that's what basically happened. So if we actually measure from where the conditions were actually met, so we can see that breach brings you just close to above where the expectation for that strategy is, which is around 3.55%, bringing you roughly around $44,641. So what could we expect on the shorter term time frames? Well, let's go ahead and actually talk about that, guys. So again, we've been basically grinding on in this area before the actual breakout we were expecting for quite some time overall. With that being said, as long as on the 4-hourly we continue to actually close above $43,000, I don't see any concern in terms of us breaking above $44,000, because we can see here, guys, we're building these higher low structures, looking for that next higher high overall, and that usually kind of plays into that particular pattern. Now you are building some sort of a pole and flag formation here, and usually the breakout area would be from that pole position, right? So you're looking for that breakout area to the flag. That basically is bringing you, if we measure this out like this, you're looking at the $50,000 target, which we've been kind of discussing, which is a key psychological level for Bitcoin overall. Now, again, we can continue to essentially grind in this particular area range for quite a bit of time, and on the shorter time frames, 4 hourly, before we actually break and gather some momentum for further upside from here. Now, if we do break below again the $43,000 area, where is our next real key support? Well, you're actually looking in this particular area, coming back to 38,000, testing that that area. If that were to happen, you're looking at about 13% drop, which is actually pretty substantial, guys. Okay, that is pretty substantial move in terms of this. But again, so far it's looking good as long as we continue to stay above $43,000. If 42,000 doesn't hold, which I don't think it will, you're looking at targets roughly coming down to $38,000. So that's the key area I'm looking at specifically here. So let's move on to Ethereum real quick. So Ethereum again has been doing phenomenal. We've seen again some of these gains recycle from Bitcoin into Ethereum, the blue chips here. And what I'm particularly looking at is whether or not these particular gains from Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to start to move over to altcoins. We are starting to see some of the selective altcoins starting to actually bring in substantial amount of gains, guys. So we're seeing 3-4x's in terms of some of these altcoins, which is very good overall. But I think we can really start to move up in terms of a lot of these altcoins if Bitcoin is actually putting its last leg up to the $50,000 area, because I think that's where we could see a greater range pullback on the higher time frames, more likely on the weekly, in terms of this, anywhere reaching again to $50,000, guys, and then looking for that greater pullback to the areas of $30,000 are more than possible in terms of this. But again, you can see Bitcoin has been on a rampage, going and putting in almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, going into 8 weeks green candles, guys. So is a pullback overdue? Possibly in that scenario. But again, the markets can tend to stay more rational than anything else, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the projects that I think are continuing to essentially develop in terms of the regulatory framework. We're starting to see again Rush continue to work with the FCA, the regulatory body in terms of in the UK, and setting the framework overall and what they've been developing and in the works in terms of regulated DeFi. As you can see, this is basically looking to bring in the banks, the government, and even the on-chain money, guys, looking for them to bring in currencies to the blockchain, guys. So USD and GBP, the British pound as well too, into the blockchain, guys. So there is no other project that have been basically doing what they're doing and putting in the regulatory framework, continue to basically slowly build in the background, and really amaze me in terms of what they're trying to essentially achieve. Because if this is the case, we're starting to see again regulatory bodies essentially go after Tether, okay, and that is the big elephant in the room in terms of USDT, USDC, and a lot of these stable coins that more likely are either going to act as e-money of some sort, or more likely they're going to disappear in the future, because there's a lot of manipulation happening with USDT in terms of Bitcoin and the overall crypto space, and Babb aims to essentially solve that problem. So how are they actually doing that? Well, most recently on their Instagram, guys, I'll just bring this up so you guys can actually see this. They're actually working with some of the top advisors that have had very important roles in terms of the government. So we can see here, and banks, we can see here Heather Butler basically joined the advisor role for Babb. If we go actually to LinkedIn, we can see that she's had quite the resume, guys. We can see she's been with the Bank of England as the head of divisions of regulatory operations, guys. That's pretty huge to have someone in terms of influence that could basically connect Babb to a lot of these regulatory bodies and continue to develop this framework that basically meets the standards of what the governments are essentially looking for overall. We can see here she's even had a position in terms of the chief operating officer for PRA, so working with again the committee overall. And she's most recently taken on a consulting and an advisor role for a lot of these crypto digital projects like Babb as well too. One other person that actually joined the team is Mark Alcock as well too, and we can see he's had quite the resume as well too, working again with Clear Bank. He's worked in the digital asset space for quite some time overall, and he's basically advising Babb on how to actually move forward in terms of the regulatory framework as well. So very cool things are continuing to essentially happen for Babb and regulated DeFi, guys. You don't want to miss what's going to be happening in the next year, as again regulated DeFi will come to fruition and bring in regulation for the overall crypto space. All right, let's go ahead and actually move on to a project which, you know, I don't like to talk about early on, because specifically when they're in beta, guys, because there's a lot of money that could be essentially lost here. And if you don't know what you're actually specifically doing, I always urge, you know, you apply caution, whether it comes to trading, looking at these crypto projects. Always apply risk management, guys. But what is Xenify? So Xenify is part of the Zen ecosystem, and basically it's an aggregator, okay, where you can, and a DEX where you can actually go in and you can basically start swapping cross-chain, guys. So they support a lot of these chains, as you can see here: Avalanche, Optimism, Binance Chain, Arbitrum. And what the benefits of this is that when you actually start going in and playing around and start swapping and doing all these cool things, is that if you go to the earn section, you actually start to earn XNF, which is again the token for this, which has been doing phenomenally well up into the right, guys. Okay, this thing has been literally just putting in higher highs and higher lows over time, and it's just a weird looking chart overall. And just most recently we are starting to see a small sell-off, but overall, guys, if we look at what's basically the game theories that this is actually applying, it's taking, you know, the best of DXN. If you guys are familiar with DXN, with the auctions and you know, the burning and things like that, and also with the you know, Hex and Tinex. So it's bringing the best of both worlds into one project, and it's an aggregator as well too. So again, you get to earn, so basically swapping earns you some of the VEXNF, which is, you know, great to see. You can basically enter the ETH auction, you can enter the YSL auction, which also gives you, again, also, you know, some of the XNF drip as well too, by entering into these lobbies. Again, if you want a more in-depth tutorial on this, because, you know, we can talk about so many game theories in terms of this, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section if you've actually heard about Xenify and you've actually started playing around with it. Now, I've thrown some of you know, a couple $100 into this overall, you know, trying it out. I did experience some bugs trying to burn, you know, doing some things. So again, it is in beta, just be careful with that overall. And we can see, you know, so far it's acquired about 9.43 ETH in this, you know, lobby, which is going to be ending in 21 hours. Usually what you want to do is you want to enter early on, where DXN, a lot of, you know, people would be waiting to see what the distribution was going to be. With this, you actually get rewarded for being in early. You get a discount for that. So that's the cool thing about this as well too. You can actually, again, you can lock them in and you know, earn that way as well too. So this project, guys, benefits Zen. You can bring in your Zen from, you know, other chains for VE Zen, which is the Arbitrum Zen, VZen, sorry, which is the Arbitrum Zen, which again will make Zen more scarce overall in the long terms of things. So great things are continuing to essentially happen, develop in a lot of these projects. But I'll leave you off with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, bros, as always, stay profitable.